Today, we're going to have a look at something a little bit different. We're going to have a look at remote telemetry units from Siemens. Not normally a product I look after, so I'm not a massive expert on this, but there is a niche product that falls into the product group that I'm quite interested in. The bigger challenge for me is the one we're looking at here on the right hand side, is where we want to get data from remote sites. I mean, the example they're using there is security cameras. Well, we'd get the power there from whatever is powering the security cameras. They're not battery powered. But the water industry is a good example of monitoring something called maybe combined sewer overflow, where we may not have power. So we need a battery powered solution, but we strive for more data. So a lot of the loggers that are out there on the market at the moment are logging pulses or milliamp values. Probably not the most accurate way of doing it with a milliamp. The pulse would be more accurate, but we can't see the instrument remotely. So when we have these alarms that tell us we've got a spill or we've got a blocked sewer, we need to really be sure that it's not an instrument fault before we start sending people out there to break up a big fat burger or whatever. So what we're going to have a look at is this new unit. So it's new, there's different variants, but the newest version, the RTU 30C, has been around for a while. I'll go on to the functionality, but the newest model that came out in January 2020, the 3041, now has 4G communications, so it's ready for 5G in particular. So there's different models that support your remote communication, but you can also have one that the 3010 that doesn't have a SIM card slot, and you can connect to your local network. So to configure it, we don't need software. It's got a built-in web browser. It can have batteries to power it. We're going to go into that in more detail. The positioning via GPS, I haven't really done that yet, but it supports that. And the thing that I'm really interested in is this expansion card here on the left-hand side. So this came out towards the end of 2019 with HART functionality. So if you have a instrument with HART on, which most instruments do if they've got 4 to 20, especially your transmitters, so there'll be 2 wired devices, this can get at that data, so it'll be more accurate. There's more diagnostics, but this card also supports IP HART, which means that the actual RTU unit is acting like a HART multiplexer. So if I can get a VPN connection to this, I can then see PDM or tools like PDM remotely. Okay, we got time synchronization, so we can synchronize with things like NTP. If it's a battery powered unit, it'll be designed to wake up every 10 minutes, take a measurement, and then send the data out once a day. Well, it's like a mini PLC. You'll see when I demo it at the end. So we can put limits in there to say, if I reach this limit, I need that data now. I don't want to wait to the end of the day. I need more data at this precise moment in time. If you're going to connect with something like PDM, we can't leave the IP HART gateway awake all the time because it'll just drain the battery. So you've got the option of programming it to receive a wake-up text message. So it also supports SMS, and the Cinema RC server can do that for you. So you don't need to do that via a phone by the looks of it. So we'll have a look at the different ways of transmitting data and whatever as we go through. When you look at the options, you can have it powered from a power supply, 24 volt power supply. It's not mains powered, so you do need 24 volts. And if you do that, you can have it measuring all the time and keep it powered up, and it's quite nice. But you also have the option to have it powered via a solar panel with accumulator. So it will power off 12 volts. So these solar panels, accumulators, they're less than £100 if you have a good shop around, and that will power this unit up. But you can also have it with a battery backup. And the monitoring of these inputs can be set up quite easily by just enabling the monitoring, and then you say, okay, if it drops below this voltage, send me a message, either an email or an SMS, to tell me that I'm having problems with power on this device remotely. There's all sorts of options. We've talked about the plug-in HART card, but there's two options for IP68 enclosures. You can see the one there, plastic, or you can have a stainless steel. So if you're installing these in locations where you're getting a lot of salt water off roads and diesel or whatever, we can cope with the different corrosion aspects there. All of the connections then to for the aerial or IP68, and you can have things like lightning suppressors and stuff like that on your aerials as well if you need that. And there's different aerial options if you have problems with signal strength. Also, the other thing that I forgot to mention is if we have a look on the top right hand side of this unit, you can put a memory card in there. So we're guaranteeing your data. So if you lose that connection to your server or your email connection, then it's backed up on that memory card, and that's not a special formatted memory card, that's a standard SD card. So you've got quite a bit of space on there, and again you can alarm on that. So if that card starts to get full and you've lost your email connection, you can still get it to alarm and send a text message if you want. So it's pretty flexible. Think of it as a mini PLC with RTU functionality. So it's low powered, we've already mentioned that. I'm not sure about this picture on the left hand side, by the way. I thought that it only supported 2 battery packs, and that is showing 6. Not sure that's right. The batteries themselves, you can buy those from a local supplier. They're standard lithium batteries with no special wires put on them. There's a bit of work been done on the battery case, so you can just slide the battery in. We've talked about the HART functionality, which you're going to see in a minute. And the nice thing with the web browser is when you connect, again, I'll show you that, you're going to see that the lights that on the front of the unit are replicated on the web browser. So you remotely you can see what somebody will be seeing locally. Yeah. So I just want to have a look at the communication options. So we are standard, they're on the left. Okay, so we can either send a secure email, or we can send FTP, and like I say, it's designed to send the log data out once a day, but you can get it to wake up and send the logs on events. Okay, SMS wake up is as on standard for the units that come with SMS card slots. Hope that makes sense. Your Open VPN connection, again, is standard, so it's compatible with the Cinema RC, and the web browser is standard. So the additional options are shown there on the right hand side. So you would select this at the time of purchasing. You don't have to use these. You have to pick one when you come to purchase it, but you don't have to use them, but they're there to give you those additional connections. So you've got the Synort, which is the Siemens protocol, and then we've got DMP3. Unfortunately, that's not WIT's DMP3. Telecontrol basic, which we've already mentioned, and then the IEC 60870, which allows you to send the data directly into most SCADA systems and DCS systems. So that's the product itself. It's quite flexible. What's quite nice, again, I'll show you, is you can spec this up within the TIA portal configuration tool online. So I'll show you that after this section. So this is the overview of our system. So if we can see the RTU at the bottom, so that can be sending out secure emails and FTP to remote data captures, and you could just leave it like that if that's what you want to do. Or if you want to start getting the data into more advanced cloud solutions, we can have a secure connection via VPN to Cinema RC. Okay, and that is all controlled via Cinema RC server, which is at the top. Once you've got that server set up, That can either be off premise or it can be with yourself. You can have clients, but the clients have to be set up on the server, so you can't just have anybody dialing in. They have to have the RC client software and they have to be set up on the system, and within that you give them access to different instruments. So if you look at this network, you might have somebody looking at CSO is only interested in the 3030, so their login would only allow them to see the 3030. So that's it. So what we're going to do next is we're going to have a look at this data live. So just before we go and have a look at the live demo, just wanted to show you how you can configure up one of these RT units. I'm on the TIA selection tool. This is the online version. You can download it, so it's on your PC. If we have a look at this, we're under industrial communications, and then you'll see here compact RTU. We'll have a look at the new one. So here's the 3041, and if we add that to our basket, we're going to have a look at our accessories. We have the expansion board, and need an aerial. If I go for the one, and then I'm going to add the aluminium enclosure. So there it is in my order list, and I can send that off to the mail to order that. Here I am back in the warmth of my man cave. I have my Cinema RC server set up here, and I have a couple of remote devices. So what I have opened up on my normal office PC, I've set up my Cinema RC client, and on my server I've set up the login details, so I get a secure connection from this client to the server. So then when I've connected to the server with my login details, I've set up what instruments I can look at, and I have two RTU units here. And to open up the web browser, we just simply click. I'll open both of them. So I'm now connected to my two devices, and I've done this on purpose. You have an RTU 3030C and the RTU 3010C. I haven't got a 3041 yet. So we've already had to have a secure connection from my remote telemetry unit to my server. Then I have a remote connection from my client to my server. So I've already got two levels of password and encryption. And then when I start my remote telemetry unit, I again have another password that I have to put in. So we'll start with the 3030. Both of the units are logged in. You can see the operation. I do have a fault here. I accidentally set my logger to log every second, which created a massive file, and I've exceeded my data allowance on my sim. So if we have a look at that first, so that's my WAN connection. I can see here, yeah, I've got a connection established, and if I go through, I can see my signal strength. This is a roaming sim from Arquessa, so I can see that it's roamed to Vodafone. And if I go back to here, my connection to my data service and my APN connection hasn't been established, but I can see that anyway because the IP address and the DNS server for Arquessa hasn't come up. That's my fault. I've exceeded my data limit, so If we have a look how I've got it set up at the moment, so this one here is in Starport, so it's connected to an existing router, so I have a LAN connection. And then if we have a look under security, we have our VPN connection. So if we come down, you would grab what we call a PME file from the Cinema server, download that onto here, and it would bring in all of your security keys and certificates to establish that remote connection. So you need the Cinema server to generate these certificates. Then you can see the encryption standards that we're using here, and of course that's got to match the other end. If we come down to the tags, just so you get a feel of what you can do here. So we have digital inputs, digital outputs, then we have memory that we can use, analog inputs. So we've got 4 analog inputs on this version. If you went to the 3031, then there'd be more of those inputs. Then we have the expansion card, which I think you can do up to 16 process values. And then here we have your power supply. I haven't got a battery connected to this one, but you can monitor your battery, and we'll just have a look at some of these. So if I click on my expansion card, all of these are being read by a HART, and I can click on this, force it to read, and I can see all of my different HART process variables that I can bring back and log. So this is connected to the new LR100 radar, and we can see here I get the level in percent, the level in millimeters, my echo confidence, and the temperature of the transmitter. And then you can see here it's login. Again, you don't have to have it login if that's not what you're going to be using this for, but I would probably advise just to get it login because it's going to back it up. You can put your units on here. If you need to put any offsets or anything in there, then you can. If we come to our program, I'll just show you here. So you've got standard program blocks, and this one here is a range monitor. So I'm monitoring the signal quality of my radar, and if it goes below 7, then I'm going to get it to send an email out with a message that says, my signal quality is poor for this device, and the current log file. If I go to my expansion card and have a look at what I've got set up here, so I've activated my expansion card, and then this HART IP is the bit. If I establish my VPN connection, then I can use PDM. If I open my PDM project here, and you can see the radar, I'm connected to it through my HART server. There's my demo RTU, and you can see there the postcodes, so hopefully you can see those postcodes match. And if I go to this device, and it's updated my diagnostics, so it's quite powerful, that. So I can open that, and all of this is being done remotely through my Cinema RC server. So that's my full list of parameters from PDM, and really all the functionality that I would expect PDM to do if I was having a local connection, I can now do through a remote connection using a secure VPN and Cinema RC server and Cinema RC client. So there you can see the echo profile has been loaded up without driving to site. I can see my confidence is fine. So you could use this, if you think you've got a spill event and you want to make sure that it's not the level instrument that's causing a false reading, then we can do a lot of that diagnostics remotely before sending somebody out to site to unblock a potential sewer blockage when it's actually a faulty sensor. So what we're going to do over the next few videos is go through how we set up the RTU and Cinema RC to achieve this connectivity. But for now, thanks for listening. Hope you found that useful, and please tune in to future videos and blogs.